Welcome to the Mini Transat Mission, an offshore sailing podcast. I'm your host, Peter Gibbonsdown, and this is episode number 5. Welcome back to another episode where we talk all things related to the Class Mini 650 and the Mini Transat. It is Tuesday afternoon, July 18th, 2023, and once again I'm recording from Annapolis, Maryland. I'm living downtown, so cars are driving by. Hopefully it's not too loud this afternoon for this podcast episode. The dog Madden is sitting next to me snoring. Hopefully he'll keep his snoring down, but no promises going forward. All right, the main topic for this episode that I want to talk about is the July SITREP. Many of you already subscribed to my email updates, and one of the emails I like to send out is a little SITREP or a situation report. And this one that I did is for the month of July, and it really covers the last couple months of what's going on with this campaign. So let's just dive right into it. Wow. So we have just over 2 months left before the start of the Mini Transat. So this has been a long time coming. As many of you know, I started this campaign back in late 2020, early 2021. And I feel like there's been so many months and years leading up to this point. And now we just have 2 months left. So it's pretty wild getting to this point. It's been extremely busy here. Even though I've been in the U.S., I've been away from the boat in France. There's still a lot that's been going on and a lot of behind-the-scenes prep work. So summer really feels like it's flying by, and it's definitely time that I owe you guys an update on what's going on. Good news is we're on a good trajectory. I'm going to be on the starting line for the Mini Transat. We're just doing all the final prep work, and as many of you know, leading up to any ocean race, there's just a ton of things that go into it. To get the boat there and get yourself there as well. So towards the end of May, if you all remember, I packed up terminal leave, my boat, and I packed it up one last time, leaving the boat on its trailer in La Trinité-sur-Mer, and flew back to Annapolis, Maryland. There were a few big reasons for this, for coming back home here. And first, I achieved the final task in the long qualification process by completing the Plastimo Lorient mini race in April. If you remember, that was the double-handed race that Jane and I did together, a couple hundred miles long. It ended up being 2 stages due to that bad weather. So checking that final box, even though I was fully qualified going into this year, I still had to do one race the season of the Mini Transat. And so by completing that PLM race, that was good for that requirement. And then the second reason why I came back was also I'm not a resident of France, and so I can't just stay over there for an unlimited time without a visa. I can only spend so much time in Europe over the course of each year, which is about 3 months. And I really can't, go beyond that. And then also I need to return home to finish my master's program, which we'll get into, and graduate from that. And then finally, another big reason is I also needed to do a little bit of work to help fund this mission because it's not cheap racing across the ocean. And I can't just stay in France the whole time without a full-time job over there. So a lot of reasons, a lot of factors. Personally, I think some good reasons to come back home to Annapolis for the summer. To put in perspective, the last time I was home in Annapolis was summer of 2020 when everything was shut down due to COVID. So this is my first time back here in a couple of years, and it's really nice being in Annapolis, spending time with some friends and some family, being able to sail a little bit here during the summer months. So it's been really rewarding as well. Looking through this blog post that I emailed out, I have some good updates there from the Annapolis Newport race. I know I talked about this in the other episode where I was racing with the U.S. Patriot Sailing on the J109 in the race, the offshore race from Annapolis up to Newport. Definitely check that out. Put some details in there, similar to what I talked about before, and the reasons why us and many other boats decided to drop out of that race and retire as we were leaving the bay, just because there was a big nor'easter coming in. It was going to be heavy air on the nose, pounding, boat breaking conditions offshore, and it just wasn't right for the crew and the boat at the time. If the conditions were a little bit better, we definitely would have been fine out there. We were over a day into the race with no issues, but we just knew what it was going to be like, and we made the call based off of risk management and safety to turn around and head back home to Annapolis. So got some good pictures in the blog posts, and definitely take a look at it. The other update that I was talking about a little bit is the fact that I graduated from the National Intelligence University with a Master of Science in Strategic Intelligence. So this has been a long time coming. I started this program back in August of 2019, and I'm really happy to finally have crossed the stage and earned the diploma. Between COVID shutting down the school, my transition off active duty to the reserves, and starting the solo ocean racing campaign, it's really been a challenging but rewarding experience. For those of you who might not have heard of National Intelligence University, or NIU for short, it's definitely not your typical university experience. This student body is comprised of all organizations and agencies within the U.S. intel community. And so that's everything from different agencies such as DIA, so Defense Intelligence Agency, CIA, NSA, all those three-letter acronyms. And then there's also a mix between the military and the civilian students as well. And then also full-time, part-time students. On the Marine Corps side, we normally send about 4 officers a year full-time. Now, I was not part of that full-time group, so I basically applied for this school separately out of the Marine Corps, but I was able to go to the evening classes after work. And so because I'm an intelligence officer in the Marine Corps, I was essentially had the ability to go to the school, and then also you had to apply for it as well. So they have to accept you academically. There's a couple of interesting things about NIU. So it's the intel community's sole accredited federal degree granting institution. The main campus is located in Bethesda, Maryland, but then there's also other academic centers around the world to include Quantico, NSA, Europe, different places like that. And then it's interesting because the professors, they all have a lot of different both intelligence experience, but then also academic experience, and they really all bring it together. And then the final interesting or unique thing to this education experience is it's the only university that's fully at the top secret level. So the entire classrooms, library, all of the whole facility is all in a giant skiff, as we call it, using top secret information. So you can be in a classroom and talking about the highest level of intel while you're writing your papers or having discussions. So it's really, really interesting learning environment that's different from anywhere else. So during my 2 final years on active duty, I was working at the Pentagon full-time, doing the daily intel support to the senior leadership there. So Commandant of the Marine Corps, Secretary of the Navy, the other general officers that were there. And then at least twice a week, I was driving over Bethesda to attend evening classes. So I do early mornings and full day at the Pentagon, then do night classes, then drive back to Annapolis, and then, go to sleep, wake up, restart the day, do the same thing the next day. So it was a lot of driving. COVID also shut some things down for a little while, so I couldn't do it full time. But it was a lot of late nights driving between Annapolis, Arlington, and Bethesda. And then I even finished part of the thesis, the unclassified part, while I was in France this spring. And then when I came back, I finished the classified part of the thesis while I was also getting ready for the Annapolis Newport race, and actually turned that part in the day before the race started. So it was a really tight timeline. Everything came together, but definitely not easy. And then the other big thing too is, even though I have my name on the diploma, there's a huge ton of people that I want to thank and that supported me along the way. So many friends and family that really helped push me across that finish line. Sometimes I felt like I was getting dragged across the finish line, but I really appreciate all the support. So definitely, Jane, thank you for helping me out. Jane's been a part of this whole campaign, and we met and started dating during my second semester at NIU. So she's been there from the very beginning. And then also my mom's been a big part of it too, supporting me along the way. So it's been really, really helpful. And then also all the family and friends, and yeah, so it's been good. So I was able to graduate in, I think, what was it? In June, we had the graduation for that. And it's funny because it's probably one of the only graduations where you can't actually have any friends or family at the school. So because of that, they host our graduation ceremony off campus at another local community college auditorium in Northern Virginia. So definitely, different not having everyone be able to come to the actual school where you're at, but it was a good experience. Happy to have done it, and really interesting learning experience along the way over the last couple of years. So did a 2-year program over the course of 4 years, got a couple extensions, kept telling them I had to leave to go over to France to pursue this solo sailing dream. But I finally completed all the requirements, and they let me graduate. So I'm really, really thankful for that. Now, back in Annapolis, in addition to the U.S. Patriot Sailing and then also finishing my master's, I also started working a summer job at the U.S. Naval Academy. So this is definitely different and new for me. It was pretty exciting. This is actually my first part-time job or first job outside of the Marine Corps, like real job that I've been working. So it's been a fun and interesting learning experience along the way. So right now I am a sailing coach with a basic sail training program. And what does that mean? Basically, initially I helped teach the newly graduated ensigns, which are from the Navy, and second lieutenants or Marines, who recently graduated from the Naval Academy, and I taught them how to sail Colgate 26s. So the program director for this is actually Jane, same Jane that you guys heard about from before. She's the program director. She hires maybe 20 civilian instructors, coaches to come in for a couple weeks during the summertime. And so us 20 or so instructors teach the ensigns and second lieutenants first how to sail over a course of a couple weeks, and we have to qualify them and everything. They have to pass tests. And then in addition to that, we're also teaching those same ensigns and second lieutenants how to be instructors so they can teach the plebes how to sail during plebe summer. So nowhere else do you do a learn to sail program and then within a couple of days turn around and you become the instructor yourself. It's pretty wild seeing the whole process develop, but it's really interesting. So now for the duration of plebe summer, we have morning and afternoon sessions 6 days a week with all the plebe companies rotating through. So that's about 1,200 individual plebes coming through the program, and they each come through about 4 times throughout the summer. So we have instructors on around 30 sailboats every day, and then us coaches are providing the support from power boats. And we don't have all the instructors that we had initially, but we still have a few that are on basically full time for the next couple weeks during the summer. But it's been really interesting to see the progress over the last couple of weeks that have gone through with the ensigns and second lieutenants, to see how far they come from both their growth in learning how to sail and being passionate about sailing for some of them, but then also seeing them develop as they're getting ready to pursue their next duty station. So for a lot of them, for all of them, they're about to go to their first duty station in the Navy or the Marine Corps, and a lot of that's going to be schooling. So they go to maybe a couple months of school to maybe even a year and a half of school, depending on what their job is going to be. So they're all getting ready for that as well as while they're doing this teaching for the summer. So it's been really interesting to see, and really great to help answer questions and help prepare them as best I can while I'm here. So even though I'm here as a civilian instructor, I'm still able to provide a little bit of guidance or answer some questions and help prepare them as well, especially since we have, I think, 32 second lieutenants that are getting ready to go to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia next. So it's pretty cool seeing that. And then, so that's some of the main updates that have been going on right now. Looking at the blog post right now, make sure I don't miss anything. Also, the podcast, as you're listening to right now, thank you for listening to my podcast. Don't forget, I have other interviews that I've done on other people's podcasts, and you can find all those on my website at pgnoceanracing.com. You can click on the podcast tab because you can see some of the recent interviews there. And then, let's see, what else? One of the things I haven't talked about in the blog post that I'm going to talk about in one of the upcoming blog posts is really just what are some of the things that go on behind the scenes that I have to prepare for. So there's a lot. So next to me, I have a whole list of my scribbled notes I've been looking at for the last couple weeks on basically the to-do list before I go back to France. Right now, my timing's looking like in mid-August, I'm going to head back over there. So I'm thinking maybe August 16th. I'm about to buy the plane ticket. We're just in the final planning for that. But some of the main things I got is, first, the boat is actually currently in the shop getting some work done with CG Marine, which is the same boat shop that worked on the boat last winter. So they're the ones that did the awesome paint job on the bottom. Having them do a little bit of work. They've actually pulled out the keel and they're resealing the keel. There's a little bit of damage on the bottom of it. Unfortunately, in the spring, when I was over there earlier, I hit a rock at one point getting towed by a Zodiac after that PLM race and felt hitting the bottom. Wasn't sure how bad it was. And it was actually a lot worse than I thought it was going to be. So they're basically just sealing that up and then fixing it, painting over it, and we'll be good to go. So it wasn't structural, but it was definitely not pretty and not fast. So the keel's out. They're sealing some things. There's a little bit of I would say a slow leak of water, not even a leak, but just some water ingress in the cassette where the top of the keel goes into the boat. So they pulled out the keel and they're sealing that area as well. So that'll be nice to keep everything nice and dry. Luckily in the hull, there's no foam or balsa cord or anything like that. So because there was some water in that area, talking to the boat designer, it shouldn't be an issue. It got dried out, and it's not like there's any core damage that we have to worry about, which is nice. Another thing I'm working on is ordering some parts once again from Rio Tecna, who built the boat in Argentina. So as a reminder, this boat was designed in Spain and then built in Argentina. So if I want to get some of the new parts or replacement parts, a lot of them have to get built by the boatyard who isn't building these boats anymore, but they're able to manufacture some of the parts, which has been really helpful. So definitely not cheap. It definitely takes time. It's taken me a couple months to track down the boat yard again. But they finally, after bugging them enough and then also getting the designer involved, I finally was able to get them to commit to building 2 new rudders for me and a new bowsprit. So a couple things like that. The main reason for that is the rudders I have on the boat I have not been happy with over the last couple of years. Yes, I bought 2 new rudders a couple of years ago. The installation I did back in Annapolis, I was never really happy with. And I've gotten them worked on a couple of times since then by CG Marine. And the rudders I have, I want to get rid of them. They're not structurally, I don't love them. Could they get me across Atlantic? Absolutely. But I also think there's some performance degradation on them in terms of how they're installed and how they're their angles and things. It's not perfect and I don't love it. So I made the tough decision to say, you know what, I'm going to buy new rudders and new metal fittings for them. So like the pindles and the gudgeons and everything. And we're going to take these rudders off, get rid of them, and put brand new rudders and new fittings on. And I'm going to have CG Marine do it. CG Marine, they are essentially like the local yard that does all of the Class 40s. When I was there in April, they had 5 Class 40s in the yard that they're working on. And so if they can do the rudders and the keel work on Class 40s, they can definitely handle a Mini, and they do a really good job on it. So that's one of the big things. Also getting some replacement parts. So, tiller rods. So in case I break a tiller rod, I can have a spare, and then also a bowsprit as well. So the spinnaker pole, those are known to break sometimes during the Mini Transat. And what I don't want to have happen is have it break on the first leg and then have to figure out a way to either fix it or get a new one out to the Canaries. So a lot of the boats make the decision to actually bring a second spinnaker pole with them on the boats. And so that's what I'm going to do. And it's nice just buying a new one from the manufacturer, knowing that it's going to be the right size. It's going to fit. I'm going to have some additional spare parts for the fitting so that I can rotate in case that part breaks. So just getting a couple things like that built in Argentina right now, and they're getting shipped to France soon. Another thing getting worked on is trying to get designed a hull wrap and sail design. So as many have seen the boat graphics and everything like that, those graphics we got designed so quickly and got put on. Super thankful for everyone that was part of that process initially when I first got the boat and we got this put on in the spring of 2021. That was a real quick within a week or two, we had the graphics design and then applied on the hull, and then we shipped the boat over to France. So that was a really quick process, but I really want to have a better design on the boat to really show off the boat and for the sponsors as well. So that's something I'm working on. The company, just like with a lot of the other French companies, just because you email them and you call them and you try to get them to do some work, they're not always the most responsive. So it's literally taken months to track them down and get confirmation that they are going to be able to do this. And that's just kind of what we've been working on. So I'm working with a designer right now on getting the wrap design. This company, they do a lot of the Class 40s, AMOCAs, the All-Team Trimaran. So they're known for doing race boat wraps. So once they get this done, I'm sure it'll be really good because it's the company to go with. So their main customers are racing sailboats. Another thing that I'm working on is I got custom solar panels ordered from Italy. So the deck solar panels that I had that came with the boat, they were about 10 years old, and they were falling apart, and they just weren't working anymore. They weren't turning any of the sunlight into energy, so they were basically just useless. So I'd ripped those off in April when I was at the boat last, and I ordered a new set. Now, you'll notice most of the minis have their solar panels on carbon fiber poles off the back of the boat, and that's really the most effective way to catch the solar energy, because you can angle the solar panels to whatever direction you want towards the sun. On the cabin top, it's not as great because you can't angle them. However, it's definitely helpful having an additional set of solar panels on there for the option when the sunlight is at the right angle to get a little more charge. And because they don't take up any more space, because they're just flush with the cabin top, they weigh almost nothing. It's negligible. And it's free power that I can tap into when the sun's on the right angle. The other thing too is if for some reason, let's say I break the stern solar panels, or those have a tendency to get damaged sometimes, it's nice knowing that I have two new solar panels that are going to be on the cabin top that can provide power. So it's more of a peace of mind, comfort thing, but it'll be really nice going forward. And then it'll also be nice after the Mini Transat. If I want to sail around the local area and I don't want to have the big solar panels off the back, I could remove those, and I could use just the deck mounted ones for more shorter day sails. So that'll be nice as well. In addition to the solar panels, I'm also working on getting a hydro generator installed. You might have seen some of these little things. They're hydro generators that have little propellers that are attached to a pole that goes down into the water. And essentially that converts the movement of the water to energy with a little propeller. Again, not a cheap piece of gear, and it's very much a specialty piece of gear to get professionally installed. Working on getting that right now as well. It's just hard with the summer. And again, we're trying to get the hydro generator. It's been harder to buy a hydro generator from the shop in La Trinite than it was to buy solar panels from this Italian company that I've been working with over in Italy. So it's just funny, like some of the local places are just even harder to work with, no matter how many emails you send. But it just takes time, weeks and months to finally track these people down to get answers from them. Another big project I've been working on is the sails. So I'm ordering a couple new sails from Quantum. Thank you, Fawcett's Boat Supplies, for helping out with that. That's a huge, huge, huge help. I've ordered a new mainsail, a new jib, an A2 spinnaker, and then also a Code Zero. So that big furling sail. And that's really going to be helpful because the sails I have on the boat, I've done thousands of miles on them, and they're just getting really, really tired. And I don't want to half-ass it going across the Atlantic Ocean without good sails. I'm putting so much time and effort and preparation into everything in the boat. The last thing I want to do is go across the Atlantic Ocean with old sails. So that's been in the works for a while now, for a couple months. I just went over to the Quantum Loft in Annapolis and got to see the initial look at them, and they're about 95% there. Everything is looking really good. We have a couple little tweaks we're going to do, and that's not the end of the world. It's all good. The reason, I went for a couple of reasons going for Quantum, but it's helpful because I was able to order them through the Annapolis Loft with Scott Nixon, but they were actually designed by a French sailmaker over in the Lorient, France loft with Quantum. So, designed in France by someone who knows the minis, but I was able to buy them, have the customer service in Annapolis. And it's great because I was able to have them shipped to Annapolis initially, and then I'm going to bring them over and then just have the batten shipped to France. So saves a little money on the VAT, and by VAT saving a little money, I mean like saves a couple $1,000s on the taxes, which is a huge help by having them come to the U.S. Because at the end of the day, I'm not importing them into France long term. I'm literally just shipping them over there, getting them on the boat, and then sailing back to the U.S. So it'd be stupid to pay VAT on something that's not actually going to be in the EU. So, but regardless of all of that, it's helpful having them come to the loft in Annapolis here. I was able to take a look at them, make sure everything looks good, and I'm really excited to get these new sails on the boat, and then also get some designs put on them as well. Additionally, there's a lot of things that could go on for the admin side behind them getting ready for the Mini Transat. Big thing is paying the bills for it. There's a lot of fees. Thank you, Switlick Survival, for helping out with that. They've really come forward and helped write a check to cover the fees for that race, which is awesome. It's not cheap for this race, but I totally understand how much there's a lot of logistics and behind the scenes admin work that these race organizers have to do to get a race like this off. So totally understand, but it's definitely not cheap on my end. Also working for that is some videos for them, so because they're pushing that, they're going to push out some videos of the different sailors with their prep work and everything. I got to figure out the christening for the boat. I want to do a little christening over there. I'm hoping we can maybe get some, I don't know, maybe find some Marines over there in France. We'll see what we want to do. But if anyone's listening, and I would love to get some, maybe like a big, well-known sailor over there to help christen the boat for a little ceremony a couple days before the start of the race. So we'll see. Got to figure that out. Like I said, I'm just looking off my list right here. This is literally the list I have for everything. What else? I got SITREP podcast, YouTube videos. All right, so I did the SITREP, doing the podcast right now, and then also I'm working on some YouTube videos. I've been really wanting to do a full YouTube docu-series style thing, and I'm just about there. I think in the next week or two, I'm going to start putting out some videos on that. It's just been time and editing, and yeah, there's just a lot that goes into that. What else? Fundraise. Oh, that's a big one. Yeah. I need to jump back into the fundraising side. I feel like I've been a little quiet on the fundraising, but just because I haven't been loud on it does not mean I'm not still seeking out donations and financial support, because it takes a lot of financial resources to make this happen. And I'm not there yet. So spread the word, let your friends and family know if they want to support this campaign. All the donations really help, either through my GoFundMe page or now through US Patriot Sailing. You can donate through the nonprofit US Patriot Sailing, and you can also get a tax deduction through that as well. So win-win for everyone, helps us all out. So definitely help donate if you can. Insurance, I got to figure that out soon. I really want to get some insurance for the Mini Transat and delivery back. And it just, having insurance over there wasn't possible at the time for some of these shorter races, just because the cost of it would just been crazy. But for this actual Mini Transat, I need to get some insurance for the boat, and I want to. So far, the biggest thing I've had is I've had liability insurance. So the great thing about signing up for the FF Wall or the French Sailing Federation is you can sign up for that license just like you would for a U.S. sailing membership. But with the French Sailing Federation license, I also get $300,000 or 300,000. No, what is it? Oh no, it's like 3 million euro liability. Sorry, I'm thinking U.S. versus French requirement. So yeah, so I have 3 million euro liability through the French Sailing Federation license. So luckily, I've had liability insurance this whole time, but just not for the boat insurance itself for the equipment. So that's one of the next big things. So any insurance people out there, if you got any recommendations, let me know. I'm all yours. What else? And part of the reason why I've waited on some of these things is I'm transferring ownership from myself to the LLC. So I'm shifting the boat ownership over to PGN Ocean Racing LLC. So it's hard to kind of request insurance when I'm like, oh, well, I own the boat now, but I'm not going to own the boat next week. And so we're all in the middle of that. Shipping the trailer. Also, the trailer for the boat's over in France. And my goal is to ship that over to the U.S., and the reason behind it is it would either cost the same or a little bit less probably to ship the trailer over on one of those ro-ros, the car carrying ship, just like how my boat and trailer went over the first time. I really think because it would be a custom trailer, it'll be cheaper to ship it back than it would be to buy a new trailer here and deal with, disposing it. Because I really can't sell it over in France because no one would want it. It's not road legal. And so it just shipping it back here would be cheaper in the long run. We're also going to work on some t-shirts. I want to get some t-shirts made for this campaign. I know there's a lot of supporters that have been asking about some swag. So we're going to try to figure that out soon. Anyone got any recommendations, let me know. But we're going to just try to design some t-shirts, maybe some other gear. We'll see going forward with that. Oh, medical still. So I had all the medical stuff good from the SAS. So when I did that Azores Les Sables race last year, all the medical requirements for that were very similar to the Mini Transat. But I just found out that I got to do some updated labs. So I got to get some blood work done and things like that. So I just found that out actually this morning. But yeah, that's the list. Let's see, Airbnbs, flights, vans, like rental cars, A lot of logistical things that I got to figure out that I'm working on. What else we got? Yeah, and then the other big thing too is I want to kind of reintroduce the campaign on social media, Instagram, Facebook. I know there's a lot of people that have started following just recently, but they might not know the full story behind everything about why I'm starting this, why I'm racing as ambassador for U.S. Patriot Sailing. So another big goal of mine is really to reintroduce this campaign, get the momentum going back up to full strength. I know it's been weird this season because the past 2 seasons I've been over in France for a couple of months. I've been able to race full time essentially doing this. But this season's just been so different because I've been really forced to come back home for the summertime. And so it's been hard to keep pushing it. But before you know it, I'm going to be back over in France. By the time you listen to this, maybe I will be over in France, depending on when you're listening to this episode. And so I'm really looking forward to relaunching this campaign and getting it going to keep on spreading the awareness for U.S. Patriot Sailing and for doing this race. Now, looking at my list, I think we'll just leave it at that for now. I know that was a lot. It was, kind of drinking from a fire hose. But that's kind of the things that have been on my mind. There's a ton of other things I haven't even looked at. I mean, I have another longer list of all the boat work that I want to do and the improvements and things like that. There's just always things that I want to do to make the boat a little bit faster or easier to race. But I'll spare you all that right now. Recent events or events that are coming up soon. The next mini race is going to be the Peru Challenge or the Trans-Gascona race. And that starts this Saturday on July 22nd. And that's a race that's every other year. And it's normally the last race right before the Mini Transat. And that departs from Port Bourgeny in France. So kind of near La Sable d'Olonne. And then the boats go southwest into Getxo, Spain. So it's a 2-stage race, solo. Some of the boats are solo, and then some of the fleet is actually double-handed, depending on how you sign up. And which is, I think, the only one I've really seen over in France where you have the option to do solo or double-handed. Scored separately, obviously, but they all start at the same time. But so that's probably like a 620 nautical mile race, I believe. And so they're leaving this weekend. So it'll be fun to track in them. I really wish I could have been doing it. Unfortunately, I was on the waiting list for that one as well. I know, real shocker, right? So the whole waiting list thing I've talked about before. The Peru Challenge was my number 2 on my preference sheet. My number 1 was the PLM, which I got into. And then my second preference was the Peru Challenge. And I was on the waiting list for that, as well as all the other races that I requested to be part of. And so because I was on the waiting list, it wasn't even worth going back over to try to get into it because I think I was like 20th on the list. So there was just no chance of me getting in, unfortunately. But it's okay. I got time to focus on the campaign and focus on the Mini Transat and not be sidetracked with the shorter race. But now what that means is, because I'm not doing any of these races now, is when I do get back over there, I need to finish up the work quickly, get back out in the water and start sailing the boat and putting it through its paces to make sure that it is ready for the Mini Transat. So that's going to be the big focus when I get over there. Well, that's it for episode number 4. I think that was enough to cover in one podcast episode right now. As I mentioned, if you want to really support this campaign, the best way to do that is through donations through either uspatriotsailing.org or on my GoFundMe page. You can find both those on my website, pgnoceanracing.com. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you are, definitely follow or hit the subscribe button and leave a review. Let other people know what you think about this podcast. And then follow me on social media with Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and that's at PGN Ocean Racing. You can definitely sign up for emails as well. So if you want to get that SITREP blog post and the other blog posts I send out, sign up on pgnoceanracing.com. And then let me know what you want to hear about. Always interested in your feedback. I love hearing from some of the listeners out there, different topics that we can dive into. There's plenty of things that we can cover. And I want to, going forward, we're going to try to cover some more in-depth topics about like the boat and getting ready for it. But I also want to talk about some of the previous seasons, some of my experiences, whether it was doing the 1,000-mile qualifier or doing some of the early races in the season, and kind of some of the lessons learned and how this campaign's evolved over the last couple of years. So really looking forward to that going forward. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap it up, close it out. I think I just woke up Madden over here. He stopped snoring. So might need to go take him for a walk soon. But anyways, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. Talk to you soon. And with that, thank you for listening to the Mini Transat Mission.